What do you know, kid? Decisions like that should be made by president, and it's me. You should know who you are. Don't misunderstand your position. You should be fired, but there's a store that's short on staff, so it's convenient. Starting tomorrow, you'll be working there. Take this time to reflect on how you defied me. Mr. Todd decided on the spot to transfer me to a rural store after I directly negotiated with him over a certain matter. And at that new location, my beautiful boss Samantha faced a crisis. Who are you? Samantha, my beautiful boss, was shocked as I saved her dramatically. And from here, an unexpected life unfolded before us. My name is Shane. My parents both worked, but since I had many siblings, as the eldest son, I supported the family by delivering newspapers when I was in the middle school and working part-time at a local fast food chain when in the high school. After finishing my part-time job, I would study at home, take care of my younger siblings, and go to bed late at night. Despite the busy days, I never felt it was a burden. Wow! I overslept. On days I couldn't wake up on time and overslept, my parents and siblings would let me sleep just long enough to not be late for school. And they'd prepare breakfast and even my lunchbox. If we earned more, you wouldn't have to work so hard. I'm sorry, Shane. This is the least we can do to support you, but we really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Shane. Thanks, Shane. My mom and siblings expressed their gratitude for my help with the household, but I was the one who felt grateful. It was because of my warm family that I could work hard. And while it felt like an exaggeration to be praised for doing what was expected as the eldest son, I appreciated having my family every day. Thank you very much for hiring me. After graduating high school, I got a job at the fast food restaurant where I worked part-time. Because of my experience having worked since high school, I quickly got promoted to a manager. However, problems arose right after my promotion. Managing older staff was challenging. He's so cocky for someone younger. We don't have to follow his instructions, right? He's younger than us. If you're going to ask someone to do something, you should be older. He's still in his 20s. They made these remarks loudly enough for me to hear, but I pretended not to notice. I understood why they felt that way. Even though I had worked since high school, they probably still saw me as inexperienced. Being a manager didn't mean I should be complacent. I had to bear with it until I earned everyone's respect. Determined, I used their criticism as motivation to excel as a manager. If there's anything I'm lacking, please tell me directly. I'll do whatever it takes. Yikes. What's with you all of a sudden? Sometimes, I approached my older subordinates trying to find out what my issues were. They were known for their constant sarcasm at work and were called Snarky 3. Kyle was the leader. He was surrounded by Ken and Tyler. As I interacted with them, my shortcomings became apparent. So, I think it would be better if we did it this way. But you always do it that way, right? Kyle means that might be good for us, but not for the customers. Hey, you're just taking notes, but are you really listening to us? Of course, I'm listening. Even though you're part-timers, your advice is like that of experienced managers. It's very helpful. Thank you so much. Hey! Are you praising us or mocking us? At first, they were quite surprised by my proactive approach. But seeing me seriously taking notes and listening, they eventually stopped making sarcastic remarks. Initially, they seemed unapproachable, but I discovered that they were not as mean-spirited as others had said. They listened and gave good advice. Good management requires more than just my own efforts. Support from others is essential. As a manager, I couldn't mess up. Bridging the gap with employees and listening to their advice was crucial. I saw their realistic advice as a positive thing and managed the store by valuing both customers and staff, gradually increasing sales. A few years later, I was promoted to area manager at a young age. Even here, other area managers, jealous of my rapid promotion, tried to undermine me by hiding meeting materials, but I didn't give up. No, it's more accurate to say that I was able not to give up. Because. So, how did the meeting go? You're young, so you were probably targeted and harassed, right? It can't be helped. I'm still inexperienced. They're jealous and attack you because they don't understand your humility. Yeah, but even you were like that at first, Kyle. Can you really say that? Shut up. You guys were the ones who agreed with me, so don't act all high and mighty. Though the conversation veered off and they were just chatting with each other, the snarky three now supports me from behind the scenes, which keeps me motivated. Thanks to these people, I could easily let go of the tough times. Even after becoming close with them, I didn't just favor them and listen to their suggestions out of bias. Their criticisms were realistic and helped improve the store, providing valuable insights. All I did as a manager was bring out their potential. I haven't yet been able to offer the kind of brilliant ideas and improvements they did. That's why I'm still inexperienced. To avoid just having a title, I need to keep learning from these people and grow. You were the only manager who listened to us. Really? Is that true? Yeah, it is. So, let's keep working hard for the store. Yes. Thank you for your support. You use formal language at work, but you don't have to during breaks. You're so dedicated and serious about your work, Shane. And so, over time, our relationship deepened beyond just manager and employees, becoming more like colleagues. However, one day, we never imagined that our bond and the efforts we put in would be taken away instantly. One day, Kyle was suddenly fired by the company. The reason was a fight with Mr. Todd during his store visit, leading to his immediate dismissal. Ken and Tyler, who stood up for Kyle, were also fired for the same reason. I couldn't process what had just happened, but before they left the store, I listened to Kyle and the others. Apparently, Mr. Todd looked down on them for being part-timers. But Kyle and the others provided excellent service to customers and worked as hard as full-time employees. Discriminating against them for being part-timers was wrong. Anger towards Mr. Todd welled up inside me. My body trembled with rage. Seeing me, Kyle remained calm, as if he understood. We each have our reasons for choosing part-time work. If that's denied, we can't stay here. That's too harsh. As your manager, it's my duty to protect you from unfair dismissal, even if it means opposing Mr. Todd. Shane. If you do that, you'll be fired too. I don't care. I said firmly. As a manager, I couldn't overlook my subordinates being unfairly dismissed. I will directly protest to Mr. Todd. With that, I immediately called Mr. Todd back to the meeting room and tried to convince him to take back Kyle and the others' dismissals. Do you plan to continue this method of firing part-timers based on personal preferences, keeping only yes-men around you? What do you know, kid? Decisions like that are made by me, the president. You should know who you are. Don't misunderstand your position as an area manager. Stunned by his harsh words, I lost my voice. Mr. Todd was completely unwilling to listen. You should be fired too, but there's a store that's short on staff, so it's convenient. Starting tomorrow, you'll be working there. Take this time to reflect on how you defied me. And so, because of my direct protest, I was transferred to a small, unpopular store as a regular employee. It was unbearable to think that this was Mr. Todd's way of not outright firing me. I lost my manager position that I had worked so hard to build, and I was assigned to work as a regular employee at the new location. I didn't regret standing up, but I couldn't protect Kyle and the others. I couldn't help but wish I had more power. When I told my family about the situation, they didn't blame me because it wasn't my fault. Even though my income would be lower than before, they were truly understanding and supportive. Feeling guilty yet incredibly grateful, I faced the next morning with resentment toward Mr. Todd and went to the store where I had been demoted. A woman who said she had been contacted by Mr. Todd welcomed me inside. Nice to meet you, Shane. I'm the manager, Samantha. Looking forward to working with you. Thank you. Nice to meet you too. At that store, the manager was a beautiful woman named Samantha. The staff at this store, where those demoted were gathered, were all unmotivated, but Samantha worked diligently. I wondered why Samantha had been demoted. She seemed to be well regarded and a great team leader, so why would someone like her be demoted? No, I shouldn't dwell on that. I should follow her example and work hard. I snapped back to reality, focused on my job, and returned to my duties. You're quite a fast worker. Seeing my work attitude, Samantha wondered why I was at this demotion store, but she had no way of knowing. As the busy days went by, Samantha began to speak to me more often. "Here, this is for you. Thanks for your hard work today." "Thank you, Samantha. I felt bad for always receiving things so often from you. You've been such a help at work recently." "This is just a thank you, so don't worry about it." "I do worry. So please, let me do the same back to you someday." "You're so earnest, Shane." "Then help me with my work again sometime." "Of course, I'd be happy to." We complemented each other's weaknesses and worked together. Thus, we grew close as work partners and trusted each other. A few months later, one day, Samantha received a call from Mr. Todd. "Gather 10 part-timers as opening staff by the end of the day." "I'm counting on you, Samantha." 10 part-timers by the end of the day. Samantha answered Mr. Todd's call, and her voice rose in surprise. That was the unreasonable demand to gather 10 part-timers urgently by the end of the day for a new store opening in the area. Finding 10 part-timers in this area in a single day was an impossible task. Mr. Todd even threatened her with "You're fired if you can't do it." After ending the call, Samantha was at a loss, holding her head in her hands. It reminded me of the time when Kyle and the others were unfairly dismissed by Mr. Todd. I couldn't protect them and ended up getting demoted. Would I have to face the same frustration again, unable to protect anyone? No, I wouldn't let Mr. Todd have his way any longer. I came up with an idea. "Samantha, leave his demand to me." Samantha looked surprised but believed in me, though she couldn't hide her anxiety as I left to recruit part-timers. But this was the perfect job for me. Regarding this matter, I felt it was almost a fated clash with Mr. Todd. I knew the time had finally come to settle it. Hours later, as the deadline approached, I returned to the store. Holding a stack of resumes, Samantha's already large eyes widened even more in astonishment. "Shane, who exactly are you?" Her amazement was understandable. I had gathered all 10 opening staff resumes, meeting Mr. Todd's demand. But that wasn't all. Among the resumes were names like Kyle, Ken, and Tyler. The names of everyone I had worked with before were there. The gathered part-timers were all pros, having had similar experiences to mine. They had worked at my previous store but were unfairly dismissed by Mr. Todd after I was demoted. They all gathered because they said they wanted to help me. Thanks to them, I could save Samantha. I was really grateful. And among them was Snarky 3 as well. "I never thought the day would come when I could work with you again," Kyle said, clearly pleased that I had called him, Ken, and Tyler back for part-time work. After Mr. Todd fired them, I helped them find their next part-time jobs and assisted with their resumes, so we kept in touch. They agreed to join as opening staff because they preferred to work in a familiar environment where they could use their knowledge from our previous store. "Shane, these people are..." Seeing the gathered part-timers, Samantha, still surprised, spoke up, and I, as if remembering, raised my voice and introduced them to her. "Sorry, Samantha, I haven't introduced them yet. These are the part-timers who used to work with me at my previous store." "Your previous store? You were a manager?" Samantha was even more surprised. I thought I had mentioned it before, but it seemed I hadn't. As I struggled to explain the situation, Snarky 3 quickly started to speak. "What's the deal, man? You didn't tell this beautiful Samantha about it? I guess you're not one to think about these things." "Shane, I really like that about you. Is that a confession?" "Seriously, Shane, you didn't mention working with this beautiful Samantha before." No fair sneaking ahead. As Kyle, Ken, and Tyler pulled us into their playful banter, we all started laughing. Since work would start the next day, we wrapped up the introductions and job assignments and then called it a day. I was looking forward to working with everyone again, but as we were leaving, Samantha called me aside, saying she had something to discuss. We walked home together. And she began to speak seriously. "Actually, I was demoted here because I directly confronted Mr. Todd," she began. According to her, Samantha was the type to confront Mr. Todd head-on if she disagreed. Mr. Todd wanted to reduce the use of fresh vegetables. But Samantha was objective to his idea, saying that would cause the reduce of customer satisfaction. That's why she was demoted. Even though she explained that fresh and tasty products were necessary to keep customers returning, Mr. Todd didn't listen. Samantha had also been a manager at her previous store, and hearing her story made me feel a surge of emotions. It seemed she felt the same, as tears welled up in her eyes when she recalled the past. But Samantha was a very strong woman. Seeing her wipe her tears and smile at me, I felt a deep admiration for her strength. As we continued talking, she started to enjoy the conversation more. "So, you went through the same thing, Shane. No wonder you seemed more capable than the other staff. Appearances can be deceiving. You'll be even more surprised tomorrow. Kyle and the others are much more skilled than I am. You'll see. You're so humble, Shane. It's not easy to bring people together like that. You're young but very humble," just as Kyle said. Seeing the usually composed Samantha laugh softly gave her an unexpectedly innocent look. It made my heart skip a beat. Oh, she laughs like this. She's quite charming. Seeing her smile made my cheeks feel warm, but the cold night breeze helped cool me down. Knowing each other's backgrounds and realizing we were in similar situations made us feel closer. And without knowing that Mr. Todd had been planning to fire both of us at the same time. However, Samantha's successful submission of the 10 opening staff resumes didn't let him make it. Realizing that among the opening staff were those he had unjustly fired before, like Kyle, Mr. Todd must have felt humiliated in front of his yes-men. The next day, the new store smoothly opened with the experienced team working efficiently. Their excellent service and delivery earned praise from customers, boosting everyone's morale. In just a few months, the new store managed by Samantha became highly reputable, attracting more customers. She managed both stores, while I also flexibly worked between them, supporting the part-timers. Meanwhile, Mr. Todd, who didn't value his outspoken subordinates, continued to see a high turnover of talented staff, even years later. A few years later, Samantha, our team, and I finally resigned from a company that didn't value its customers or staff. Wow, quitting feels so liberating. This must be what it means to end on a high note, Samantha said, stretching beside me. Kyle and the others became a great asset, and although Samantha's store had excellent sales and reputation, we couldn't stand Mr. Todd's methods anymore. We resigned in preparation for a new project. But I'm so excited about the future. Let's share and talk about our ideas and plan together. Wait a minute. Don't forget about us. Snarky 3 leaned forward from behind me and said to her. She seemed very surprised, as if she had unconsciously been talking only to me. Oh. I didn't realize you all were here too. That's right. We just quit the company together, and you rely on Shane just because he was the manager. We were doing great too, Samantha. It's too harsh. Oh well, she did spend more time with Shane than with us. Still, she shouldn't just ignore our existence. Ken and Tyler, who both had feelings for Samantha, were quite shocked at being not noticed. On the other hand, Kyle seemed uninterested in Samantha. He was just watching me with amusement. Why did I feel like he could see right through me? To escape from Kyle's gaze, I cleared my throat and took over the conversation from Samantha. Anyway, let's work hard to establish our new competing company. When everyone responded to my rallying call, we all shouted, yeah. Yes, the plan was to establish a rival company. The next day, after quitting the company, we shared ideas, assigned roles, and worked on raising funds and gathering staff for the new company. We passionately presented our blueprint to the bank, securing loans, and invited those who had helped as opening staff to join us. Our ideal store would offer fresh and safe food for customers and a place where staff can develop their skills while valuing their individuality. During this time, we heard about the downfall of Mr. Todd's restaurant chain. One by one, the stores in the area closed. Even with multiple discount campaigns suggested by Mr. Todd's yes-men, customers only came on discount days. The chain became known as a cheap and poor quality store, leading to its inevitable bankruptcy as Mr. Todd struggled with finances. Later, we heard that no banks would lend to Mr. Todd, and his restaurant chain finally went bankrupt. Did you hear? Mr. Todd's company went bankrupt. Apparently, he's working a manual labor job now. He looked down on us for being part-timers, and now he's the one working as a part-timer. It's ironic. Kyle and the others talked about his downfall. The backstory was that even his yes men had all handed in their resignation letters at the last moment. They had only been acting to please Mr. Todd and resigned once the company was on the verge of bankrupt. Without anyone left to support him, there was no choice but close the company. Some of the yes men, regretting their past loyalty to Mr. Todd, even begged to work for our company to do better themselves. Samantha and I decided to accept them through interviews. Yes, everyone should be treated equally and have their individuality respected. If someone is in need and wants to improve themselves, I want to help them. I want to cooperate wherever I can. Just like my family, Kyle, and Samantha have done for me. I realized once again how fortunate I was to have such supportive people around me. Without them, I don't know where I would have been ended up. I was able to grow, thanks to everyone's support. And with this clean break from Mr. Todd, I felt a refreshing sense of freedom. A few years passed, and we steadily expanded the restaurant chain we had envisioned. Samantha, I have something to tell you. What's this all of a sudden? What do you want to talk about? While Samantha had been my partner in business, over time I had developed feelings for her and decided to confess. I felt strangely nervous. Not being used to this, I even felt a bit of pressure. After all, she was the beautiful boss everyone admired. How pathetic to feel this way after bringing it up myself. Noticing my unusual tension, Samantha laughed softly and began to reminisce. Come to think of it, since you joined my store, it's been one surprise after another. But it's because of you, Shane, that we could create the company we dreamed of. Thank you for guiding us. Expressing her gratitude with a smile. Samantha looked more beautiful than ever to me. And with newfound courage, I finally opened my mouth to convey my feelings. I couldn't have come this far without your support. Thank you for sticking with me. So, if you're willing, I'd like you to be my partner not just at work, but also in private life. I extended my hand to Samantha. My heart was pounding, wondering if she would take my hand, but Samantha looked at me with a joyful expression. Yes. I'd be happy to, she said, taking my hand. We officially started dating as partners both at work and for private. Look at you two, so in love. With Shane, there's no doubt she'll be happy. Shane, make sure you make our Samantha happy. Snarky 3 suddenly appeared, congratulating us, and Ken and Tyler chimed in with their usual banter. Samantha and I looked at each other and laughed. They were not making snarky comments anymore. I was truly grateful. Being blessed by them and receiving their advice and support was essential for me. Of course, I take full responsibility for making Samantha happy. And having overcome work challenges together, I believe we can face anything as a couple. What I can't do alone, we can accomplish together, no matter what.